All right, guys, this is it. This is the big dog draft. This is the big tournament that I'm going to be doing for the year. So if you don't know, the big dog is a $250 entry-free tournament. Small field size, only about 2,300 people. But the nice thing is, you only need to finish top 4 out of 12 for the first round, top 2 out of 6 for the second round, and then you got to finish top 2 out of 8, and then you're in the final round where there's only 64 people between you and $100,000. So let's head right into the draft. So we get the 104, and as you'll see here, the first 3 picks are pretty common. CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson. So we're on the board, and we take Cooper Kupp right off the bat, and that's who we're going to start our team off with. As we head into this next round, you'll see that we were kind of between some people, Alvin Kamara and Mark Andrews, who unfortunately didn't fall to us. So that kind of left us with Javonte Williams, who we snagged right up. Mike Evans went right afterwards, Fournette, Tyreek Hill. We hit the 2-3 turn, and we see that T. Higgins comes off the board, Nick Chubb, and then that left us for an easy Week 17 correlation of Mike Williams and Cooper Kupp. So we took him in the 3rd round. Headed to the 4th round, we're going to see that, a lot of picks go off the board. Lamar went right before us, and we said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and get the stack with Mike Williams. So we went Justin Herbert in the 4th. That left us with a decision between him and Breece Hall. We ended up going Herbert there. We head into the 5th round. You'll see that Pat Mahomes and Jerry Jeudy went right before us, which is fine because we really wanted Brandon Cooks to fall to us in the 5th spot. So things are looking pretty good. We're starting off with 3 really good wide receivers, 1 really good running back, and Justin Herbert. And for any of these rounds, if you want to pause it real quick to see and give yourself more time to see what we end up going with. For this round, we ended up going with Schultz because Allen Lazard was kind of who we were hoping would fall to us, and he did not fall to us. Heading into the 7th round, Russell Wilson went right before our pick. 2 wide receivers, that we didn't really care about. And this is the one pick that I was kind of concerned about. We reached for CEH, but, it's something that we kind of wanted. We needed some running back depth. There were no real wide receivers that we wanted. Heading to the next round, we had a couple more wide receivers and a couple more running backs. Olave was tempting if he could have fallen to us, but we took the value in Robert Woods. We think he's the number 1 wide receiver in Tennessee, so we're kind of happy with that. Heading into the 9th round, a couple more wide receivers went, Lockett, Claypool, and then Kareem Hunt went right before us, which is beautiful because we got Chase Edmonds 10 spots behind ADP. Probably our favorite pick of the draft, really kind of rounded out our running back room. If you watch the previous video, you'll see that I talk about not reaching for players that are getting a lot of training camp hype. And then we take Dameon Pierce here in the 10th. Now, I made the caveat that if training camp hype is for Best Ball Mania, don't take the hype. But if it's for drafts like this, where this is happening, everybody's on a level playing field. So we take Dameon Pierce in the 10th. And then we get here in the 11th round, and we take Jalen Tolbert. And we took Jalen Tolbert because he has that Week 17 matchup against Tennessee's Robert Woods. So maybe we can get some fireworks there. We head into the 12th, and it's getting ugly. There's those types of picks that you don't really love to make, but we took some high upside in KJ Osborne. Hopefully he can have that wide receiver 3 role in Minnesota. So if he can carve that out, maybe we can get a few weeks out of him. As we look at this round, we ended up going with Jarvis Landry, wide receiver New Orleans Saints. I think he could be really sneaky good, give us a few good baseline games, maybe weeks that Mike Williams doesn't have a blow-up game. So we're happy with him on the team. He's, like I said, just depth. We need depth at this point. And then we get in here in this round and we take Brian Robinson, another running back that's got a lot of training camp hype. But again, this is not Best Ball Mania. This is a brand new big dog draft. So we're getting him where he's going to be, auto drafted. So we're happy with that value. Pick up our second tight end here. Nothing real special. We just wanted somebody that could get volume. Noah Fant just happened to be that guy. We get to one of our later round picks and there's nobody that we really like here. So we ended up just taking our second tight end here, Davis Mills. He gives us that stack with Brandon Cooks and Dameon Pierce, so we just didn't feel like trying to risk him not coming back to us. 17th round, like I said, this is where the trash is, guys. So, there's nothing wrong with these picks necessarily. They can always, make impact plays. So we take Devin Duvernay, just hoping that maybe he's the wide receiver 2 for Baltimore and that he can carve out a role that maybe is unknown. I've got a lot of Devin Duvernay. I've just taken him as like a late round flyer. Last round pick, we went Terrace Marshall. Kind of same thing. Year 2 wide receiver. Maybe he can do some damage in this year's NFL. So as we look at our draft overall, let's talk about the picks that we really liked. The first pick we're going to be talking about, my boy Chase Edmonds. I mentioned it earlier. We got him with a lot of ADP savings. We got him 10 picks past ADP. But also, he's only our 3rd running back, so we don't need him to do crazy amounts for our team. Maybe give us a few weeks here and there. But you got to remember, this guy was the first running back paid in the free agency. So I'm expecting a lot out of Chase. Hopefully he doesn't disappoint. But our second pick, surprisingly, is Justin Herbert. He's a guy I don't draft a lot. He's got huge upside. He's drafted as a number 2 quarterback, so we're kind of hoping that he can carry our team. But the main reason we drafted him is because we had Mike Williams, and we want that stack. And those stacks can be deadly in best ball. So we're hoping that he can do that. We're hoping we can bring something. And then if we do make it to the finals, Week 17, Cooper Kupp, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert. That's what we're banking on. That's what you got to do if you make it there. It's got to be like a DFS week, so we're hoping that works out. But let's talk about the picks maybe we didn't love. And we're going to start off, the only pick that really is up for consideration is CEH. Did we reach for him? We drafted him about 10 picks above ADP, so it's up for you to decide. But at the end of the day, I got no regrets. I really like CEH. We talked about it in the earlier video with Pachenko. But now let's see where we rank among the other teams. So we're going to grade each position for each team, starting with my own. Justin Herbert, Davis Mills. I think that's an 8.7 out of 10. I think Herbert could be one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. Our running backs, Javonte, CEH, Chase Edmonds, Dameon Pierce, Brian Robinson. Gave us 8.4. And then our wide receivers, 9.3 out of 10. Like I said, feel free to pause if you need to. Dalton Schultz, Noah Fant, 8.4 out of 10. Now that's going to look suspicious, but compared to the other tight end rooms, you'll see later that I just think it's a little bit better than a lot of the tight end rooms. For the team 1, Jalen Hurts, Zach Wilson, a little less firepower than our quarterback room, so I think they're a little bit lower than ours. CMC and then a bunch of not great running backs leads to the 8.1 rating. And then their wide receivers are not bad. Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, and then Devonta Smith. That's not a bad starting lineup. And then their tight ends, I give them a solid 8.4 out of 10. Team 3, we got Patrick Mahomes and Tua, so I'd say that's about as even as it can get with our team. JT, Leonard Fournette are 2 great starting running backs, but then the backups with both San Francisco guys, I just didn't love it, so I give it slightly less than ours. They don't have as many wide receivers, and I don't love Juju as a wide receiver 2 necessarily, so I give it a 7.7. And then you got a bunch of middle round tight ends, one of which being Gesicki, who I don't think is even going to be a pass catching tight end, so that contributed to the lower rating for tight ends for them. Team 3, we got Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins, which I think is a really good stack, but not as much upside as you would think. Running backs, the only reason it was such a low rating is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the same team is kind of capping your upside. But you can't hate their wide receivers. Justin Jefferson and Mike Evans are going to be 2 of the best in the game. For tight ends, a bunch of late round guys. It's not a bad strategy. It's just not a very strong tight end room, especially with Taysom Hill being one of your 3. This team actually really like Lamar Jackson and Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is sneaky underrated and could provide a lot of upside. Tony Pollard as your running back 1 and Josh Jacobs as your running back 2 is going to lead to the 7.4, but it makes sense when you see their wide receiver room. Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, Deontay Johnson, not a bad starting 3. And then tight ends, Mark Andrews, and then the skinny stack with Trevor Lawrence, really sneaky, I like it. And this is probably the worst team that you're going to see in the draft. Not great quarterbacks, a bunch of middle round quarterbacks that I don't love. Now the running back room is deep. They got 7 running backs, but when you have Alvin Kamara and Austin Eckler, you don't need to draft that many running backs. Wide receiver room, Terry McLaurin's wide receiver 1, hate it. And then the most egregious mistake you can make in best ball, drafting 1 tight end. Even if it's Pitts, you cannot make this mistake. All right, looking at this next team, Trey Lance, Marcus Mariota, and Desmond Ridder. It doesn't excite me. I do love Lance, but just not a super exciting quarterback room. Running backs and wide receivers, not bad. You know, I think their wide receivers are really good. Diggs and Keenan Allen could be really special. And you got Chris Olave. I have a soft spot for Chris Olave this year, but their tight ends, I should say, George Kittle, Irv Smith, and Hayden Hurst. That's probably the deepest tight end room in the draft, so props to that guy. We look at this next team, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff. I just don't see a lot of upside, a lot of winning weeks, except for from Burrow, but Goff is just, man. I mean, he's basically Davis Mills. And then their running backs, though, you got Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, Zeke, Miles Sanders. It's a deadly starting four. But their wide receivers a little bit suffer. Cortland Sutton, maybe DK can do something this year. And then this next team, this one was weird to me. Took Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill, which are three good starting quarterbacks, but I don't know why he really needed Ryan Tannehill. It was kind of a weird pick. And only 4 running backs. Hopefully Derrick Henry could stay healthy. That's kind of what he's banking on. But wide receivers, the reason that it's such a low rating, he has 3 Bills wide receivers. Big mistake. Try not to do that in your drafts. And then tight ends, a bunch of picks at tight end, to be honest. Next, we got Corey T with Tom Brady, Matt Ryan. Like I said, not a whole lot of upside with those 2 quarterbacks if you're going to reach a little bit lower, but running backs, you know, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, pretty solid. Looking at their wide receivers, DJ Moore, Michael Thomas. With the news of Michael Thomas's injury, maybe I could have bumped down his rating even less, but I gave it what I gave it. Dallas Goedert, Dawson Knox, not a bad starting tight end room. And probably the worst quarterback room of the draft, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones. Does not excite me. Don't see any potential out of that, to be honest. Running backs, Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, James Cook. Could be worse. Devontae Adams. And he also took Hunter Renfrow. You know, I could see the Vegas stacks, but just not my favorite in the world. And then TJ Hawkinson and Gerald Everett. Not a terrible. I mean, it's tight end. Somebody's going to be in love with their tight ends. This team is probably my second favorite team behind my own. Kyler Murray, Dax, really good starting quarterbacks. James Conner, and then a plethora of guys that could have potential behind him. I like that a lot. CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all good wide receivers. And then I forgot he took Travis Kelce and Brevin Jordan. If I didn't like my own team, like I said, this would probably be my second favorite team in the draft. But with that being said, that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you can, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time.